everybody, welcome back to my workshop. We're going to pick up a piece of work that I've been busy with for a while. It is a lead crystal tankard. It's a commission with a coat of arms, and it is, I'll show you the coat of arms first of all. There we go, can you see? There we go. That is going on a lead crystal beer tankard. I have already drawn the artwork. I have created a mask and sandblasted. So far, the basics. Okay. I have then removed part of the mask. The mask I use is an APM Plus. It's a self-adhesive mask. We will run through that process at some point. So I've removed part of the mask because I am now going to sandblast again, but with a lighter pressure. And the pressure I normally use is 50 psi, and so I'm going to take it down to about 20. And I'm just going to hold back on it a little bit, waft it over the whole thing a few times, so where it has already been sandblasted doesn't matter, and where it's now being sandblasted for the first time, it will be lighter, and then we'll wash it off. And after that I will begin to hand engrave, and there's quite a lot of hand engraving to do. We'll be doing a lot of detail, a lot of texture, depth, shadows, and I will go through all that with you. So this is my sandblaster. It has two hoppers, one in the front and one at the back, where I can decant the used grit, which is aluminum oxide, and that I can reuse by putting it back into the front hopper. As you can see, it's quite a large space. Obviously I look through here. I shall turn it on, it'll make a lot of noise. So that is the sandblaster, and that is running, and what you can hear is that vacuum at the back that's sucking out, that will be sucking out the dust into the back hopper. Right, there's my compressor. It's a hydrovane compressor. I'm going to turn that on. It's going to make a bit of a noise. Pretty noisy in here. I'm not sure if you can hear me at all, but basically I'm going to put my glass in there. And I will be, I've only got one, I haven't got enough arms, so there's my gun, and I will be wafting over like that. Okay, so half tone done. You won't be able to see it that clearly, but if we hold it up to the light, you can probably see where some is deeper. Some areas are deeper than others, and where I have just sandblasted, it is very much smoother and just easier for me to manipulate into darker tones. So now I'm ready to begin hand engraving. As you can see, it's sitting nicely in a little holder that I designed many years ago. Pretty basic, a couple of blocks of wood, and I can move them up and down and just fit my glass in there. It can still move around, so if I wanted to turn it, I can. It just gives me something to put it in nicely. We will cover that more extensively in another video. It is in a lovely tray because I'm going to be dripping water on here and it will collect the water. Got my mask, my glasses, my headband magnifier, which will make everything just that little bit easier and more efficient. It's really important. So if I can see that it is nice and clear, anyone who has not got their magnifiers will see a really, really clear image. Right, so in the coat of arms that I have to copy, there are several colours. So obviously I have to convert all of this into various grades of grey, shades of grey. And it's not that difficult, really. One way of doing it, first of all, would be to convert this into grey scale and print it out. Sometimes I do that, but I'm not too worried at this stage. I will just convert it as I go along. But if you're not sure whether red is going to be darker than the blue, for example, convert it and print it again in grayscale, and that will show you quite clearly which is the darker one. Anyway, as far as I can see, the blue is slightly darker, but anyway, the end result is going to look pretty cool, I think. I've got my drip feed system. Again, I will cover that on another day. We'll go through the whole setup another day. Right, let's go. Rightio, let's go. Little medium size burr. I hope you can see that. Yes. I've got my drip feed system going, the water slowly dripping on the glass. And this will make the cutting smoother, easier, sharper, keep the dust down. You'll notice I'm going quite deep in places and then shallow in others. Where I want something to stick out, I will go deep. It gives the illusion of something coming forward. And then just lightly everywhere else. Just make sure we can see that. It may all look the same shade now, but there's actually different depths going on. And this will become apparent when I start polishing and you see the ridges more clearly. Let's see if the light can pick this up. You can see a little bit of definition there. The light is very important because when you have wet engraving you don't see it very well. So at the moment, when I'm talking about light and dark, not light and dark, light and heavy, it's how hard I'm pressing it. Because I want bits of it to be sticking out further than others. There's bits towards the back, and those will be light, which I will shade later on. All the time I'm blending the different depths together, so there's not a sharp line. Just blend, blend, blend. Barely touching the surface here. Going deeper there. In the end, I don't want to be able to see any glass, clear glass at all. Every single thing will be engraved, even the darkest areas. Now this this leg is behind this round thing, whatever it's supposed to be. So as I get to the edge of it, I go very light. Now I prefer to use a burr that is fills the area as much as possible. I wouldn't like to use a teeny tiny burr and have to scribble to fill it in. So you want to try and use the biggest possible burr. But if you're worried about the edges, whoops, like that, use a smaller one. I'm going to use some different burrs to complete. Actually, let's just do this. Just giving it a bit of colour at the moment. I'm going to go lightly handed on the middle bit, barely touching it. I'm going to use smaller burrs on that top bit there. That's fine, smaller burrs in there. Very lightly up to there, because the arm is coming over the top. I keep calling it an arm, it's a leg. Oh dear me. some neat colouring in, that's all. Right. Barely touching the surface again. Where the arm is coming on, the leg is coming on top. And then pressing a little bit harder, going deeper again to the edge, and blending it in. Just lightly towards the back, and then that will be heavier there. Some places I don't take it right to the edge because I'm going to neaten those edges up with a smaller burr later on. Much smaller burr. Diamond again. I'm going to do his tongue, because his tongue is quite dark. I know the horns are as well, but I will be doing them with a different burr. And we'll fix the eyes later. I don't want to see any little chippy bits on the edges, and I might go over that. I might go over the edges with a white Arkansas later. I tend to change speed when I realise that my foot is slowly lifting off the pedal. But you will be able to hear that I don't use it at a very high speed, to be honest. This is capable of, what is this, 40,000 RPM. I go nowhere near that. Just defining the edge of the jaw a little bit. He's got nice high cheekbones. Right, so if we dry him, you'll see he comes to life, nice and light. White Arkansas, very soft stone, very useful. And with this, I'm going to go in and do his tongue, his eyes, and his little hooves. I'm going to work dry. You get to know the sound of your burrs. Going slightly deep, but I don't want to be too deep. You can see already that is quite a dark, smooth tone. The horns are going to be slightly darker. The little hooves. This is a different style. This is heraldry, so in some places I may leave an outline where I may not. If I was doing a realistic portrait of an animal, for example, I would not leave necessarily the outline. Now you'll find with this, if I run it, see, that leaves a nice outline. See how smooth the white Arkansas is. A wonderful bird. Just in a simple stroke, it defines the edge. This is a little brown rubber bullet, like a little pencil bullet. And I'm now going to just define some areas by polishing them out a little bit. So you can see this little eye becomes quite dark. It actually looks like it's sticking out a little bit. It's like a little eyeball, but I will still highlight slightly. Like doing a little oil painting. I like to see brush strokes. Adds a bit of texture. This very tiny little burr, that is an old rat's tail. Oops. That's an old rat's tail which I have been slowly taking the top off as it gets blunt. So you run it against a stone or a diamond which takes the top off, and then you end up with fresh bits of diamond dust to play with. And I'm just going to put a little highlight in his eye. Well, it won't be a highlight, it will be his iris. There we go. Now he's really looking at us. He looks quite mean, actually. So now we're going to move on to this little bit here. And in the picture, it is made up of 3 colours. If you really wanted to, you can engrave a grayscale rainbow. I've done that before. It's quite a challenge, but it is all possible. Right, so let's just do, well, hopefully the rubber can get in those tiny little spaces. There we go. If you want a rubber to get in somewhere and it doesn't fit, and if it doesn't fit, you run it on the edge of a stone, or this is a block, but you can run it against any burr. I've had this for 100 years. I don't even know what it is. But you end up with a sharper top, and hopefully I can get better into this. And it doesn't really want to go all the way in, but it doesn't matter. It gives the impression that it is darker. Right, third one along. I'm going to run this while I'm here. I'm going to run it over But I want to make the white ones a little bit whiter, so we want a really small burr. Again, this is very tiny, tiny little diamond, and I will go into the ones that are white. I'm going to work dry